What is something about yourself that sounds totally made up but is 100 real? I built a 13-foot-tall T-Rex with Christopher Walken's head, and New York Magazine called it highbrow and brilliant. My dad's name is Luigi and my uncle's name is Mario. They are brothers. I forgot to add that my dad is also a plumber. I grew up on the wrong side of the river, was considered by all to be the town loser, and went to work as a janitor while still in high school. Then, in my 40s I set a goal for myself while still working full-time to take one class at a time until I either graduate or die, whichever comes first. At age 49 I finished my Bachelor's of Science degree, at age 52 my MBA, and age 61 my PhD. Never let the arrogant elitists define who you are or what you can be. I never graduated high school but I have a bachelor's degree. I was homeschooled and my mom never went through the legal steps to actually get me a real diploma, so she made one in Photoshop that was then used to get me into this podunk community college that didn't verify it. From there I got my associate's degree, which I then used to get into a decent university where I got my bachelor's. I am allergic to lettuce. Like I carry an EpiPen allergic. I was once sponsored by the Crunk energy drink company for sailing. I imagine I was the only sailor on their list. I literally just emailed them saying that I sailed and asked if they wanted me to put stickers on my boat. They sent me a few cases of the drink, t-shirts, hats, the works. My car was known as the Crunk Mobile. I saw the former Prime Minister of Poland in his underwear. Once in college I applied for a job at the library help desk. I figured I would help people find books. Didn't give it much more thought than that. During the interview, I aced all of the customer service questions. Then they asked me whether I knew how to defrag a hard drive. Cue alarm bells in my head, but I kept calm outwardly and said no, but you can teach me. I worked in IT for 3 years by accident. They were too nice to fire me. I found out my father wasn't my biological father in 10th grade biology class. We were learning about blood types and traits. I raised my hand thinking I was a smartass. Your chart isn't accurate, my dad has AB negative and I'm O positive. My teacher said I think your mom has some explaining to do. And we all chuckled. Turned out, he was not my father. My husband, I'm 30, has been my best friend since I was 7. He was the new kid at school and I walked up to him and said, "We are going to be best friends." He said, "No we aren't. Leave me alone." I bugged him every day for 2 weeks before he finally said, "If I'll be your friend, will you shut up about it?" We were married 20 years later. Proved his ass wrong. Face with tears of joy. A horse threw me in the air when I was a child. But I wasn't on his back. He grabbed the skin of my back with his teeth and yeeted me. I was a rocket scientist. I worked on the 114 AGM. The science was verifying rocket bodies. The backbone of science is to repeat experiments. My job was to make sure we were gonna get the same result every time. People call me a liar all the time because the idea of a rocket scientist is von Braun. When I was a kid, I woke up to find my cat giving birth to her kittens on my pillow, 1 inch from my face. I took it as a compliment. One of my ancestors was dumb and bought one of Napoleon's doorknobs. It turns out it's fake. Doorknobs were invented after Napoleon died. I survived a plane crash in the desert, trapped there for 2 days, and was rescued by 2 dudes who were trying to bet if they can cook an egg in the sand. Spent a really cool day in London with Christian Slater and his mum. His mum is adorable. I got hernia by sneezing too hard. At age 50 odd and with limited to no video game experience, my mother completed Mario 64 before I did, in about half the time it finally took me to do it. My great-great-grandfather was a Pinkerton detective, acted on vaudeville, and had 5 wives in 2 different states that knew nothing of each other. He also slightly changed his last name each time and never got caught until Ancestry website happened lol. A pelican engulfed my head with its massive fucking beak when I was a small child. Pelicans are cunts. I can smell some illnesses and chronic symptoms. My sense of smell is normally pretty average, but I can sometimes smell if a person is sick before they start showing symptoms, and have been able to predict 2 seizures, a diabetic blood sugar drop, and multiple chronic migraines before they happened. I lost my heel in a lawn-mower accident. Edit, here's the story. I was 4 at the time and I won't say who exactly did it. But he was mowing and it was a riding mower and the hitch on the back where you can hook a little trailer. I love to stand on that part and ride. Well, this time I saw a frog in the grass, and being the 4-year-old I was at the time, I jumped off the mower and onto the grass and put my hands over the frog to catch it, and he didn't realize I had jumped off and he backed up. I had my tongue surgically enhanced for more reach and flexibility when I was 8. Edit, I'm super jazzed by how many of us are out there. I won 2 TV game shows. The $10,000 Pyramid won $10,300 in 1975, and Sale of the Century was on the show for 9 days, won $34,000 in cash and prizes in 85. I once drove a locomotive backwards through the Canadian Rockies. I have won an actual WWE match. Despite having a genetic tremor, I've been playing guitar passionately for 8 years. Edit, change generic to genetic. Arrested and spent 3 days in a holding cell for a crime that I didn't commit about a year after the whole matter was done and dusted with. Mind you, I say didn't commit the crime. But I was involved in the story from start to finish. When my mom was in grad school, she took several labs where she worked with cadavers. Because my dad worked nights, she often had to take me to class with her, and she'd usually just plonk me down on the table with the cadaver while she worked on it. I ran out of gas outside of La Paz, Bolivia. Luckily, it was downhill for about 6 kilometers into the city. I coasted the whole way on my motorbike, past buses, and drifted into a gas station. Never missed a beat. I once successfully ran an unfunded shelter for 100 homeless, a homeless civilian. I am one of very few people outside WW1 to live through mustard gas. So rare the doctors 1995 no internet had no idea how to treat me. I was baptized by a serial killer. I've literally never been sick, or at least never showed symptoms of being sick. No colds, no fevers, no viruses, no flu even. I really don't know what it's like to be sick or get sick, and frankly, I hope I never do. It'd sure be ironic if the first time I got sick was now. Edit, I'm 30 years old by the way, that was probably worth mentioning. My family ancestry can be traced back to a court jester who served in the court of King Jacob IV of Sweden. I have phytophotodermatitis, which is a big fancy word for I can't get acidic juices, lemons, limes, apples, oranges, etc. on my skin and go out in the sun. Turns my skin brown like a rash. Doesn't hurt or itch, just discoloration. Happened 3 or 4 times in my life. I've been in 3 fatal train accidents. Never had a scratch. Worked during the summer at some kind of hotel summer camp for people from Eastern Europe, and one of my colleagues, the cook, found a wounded crow, healed it and then trained it. The bird would sit on her shoulder when she was cooking, would come to her on command and would share cigarettes with her also while cooking. I once fell over a chair during a massive bar fight, in the process kicking a German Marine out a 2nd-story windows in the middle of downtown Queens.